It's wonderful to actually have you here. I hope my voice is reachable.
Yes, thanks, Kavya. Can you see me? Is
Yes,
my video and audio working well?
absolutely, absolutely, Nina.
Okay, there is a new meaning to check audio 1, 2, 3 now. Yeah, so thanks for having me as a part of the panel. And to the other panelists, hi Pankaj, hi Prasad, hi Renu, hi Ritesh.
Hey Nina.
Hello,
Hi
everyone.
guys.
Hi. Okay, so you know, Kavya just mentioned about the Google conversation, and it's well, I need to kind of try and see. Yeah, hope this is better now. My video was fading. So it's interesting that we said, we are kind of the way we are getting into digital commerce, and how we are using our fingers. So I keep telling people, I used to walk 10,000 steps until a while ago, and now I walk 10,000 miles with my finger in a day, possibly. And the windows are getting redefined. Window shopping was never fun. You can put windows in your cart. And the interesting part is you can put endless windows in your cart. And my windows can range from Pankaj, your products, all the way to Prasad, your products, and Pritesh, well, with your CRM, and Renu with your solution. So digital times, of course, have made it extremely interesting for us. So let me start with you, Pankaj. While digital times have become very interesting, there is also the burden of significant burden of ROI. While we are today talking of data, we are talking of omni-channel commerce, we are talking of technology. At the back of all of it, you sit with a burden of ROI, as does the salesperson who needs to deliver to that performance, right? Any solution providing person. Where do you bring your ROI in your omni-channel commerce using data, technology, and content?
So Nina, I guess burden of ROI was always there. It's not something new, but yeah, with digital and with digital commerce, it has become easier for people to ask that you're investing X dollars. Where is the money coming? Where is the business coming back? And that is the kind of questions which are being asked in boardrooms or in regular conversations. And in fact, when partners like you come and meet me, I also have this question to you. Yeah, so that's always there, and that's going to continue. I think one continue needs to continue in terms of investments, whether it is in technology stack, you look at technology stacks, whether it is coming from Salesforce or in terms of getting better ROI in terms of marketing investments. Yeah, so that will keep on happening. And if one is very, very critical about, I am investing $100 right now, I need to have $200 immediately, that's a kind of a futile thinking in my mind. It is a long term game which one need to play. Okay,
guys, whosoever sales guys, please call Pankaj immediately. Yeah, remember he's on record. He said that.
Yeah,
carry on, Pankaj. Yeah,
I maintain that. While I'll get questioned, from the board and CEOs that where the ROI is, but it's a long term. You cannot immediately investing $100 and get $200 the next day. PNL is important, and that needs to be managed. But at the same time, it's a journey which one need to take, and one needs to also be cognizant of the fact that it doesn't just go. You're just going very broad in that sense. So keep looking at your investments at a minute level, but yeah, have a long-term vision is what I'll say.
So thanks, Pankaj, for that. Now, interesting, Prasad. Let me move to you. Is ROI, we know, is a necessary boardroom discussion that is there, and for us to arrive at an ROI, we are consciously using data. We need to adapt to new technology to be able to get better output from data. And the conversation, which is the content that we need to create for consumer experience, it's all about consumer experience at the end of the day. How have you utilized your learnings from data, from success of conversation, from adaptation of technology, to be able to engage with the intent of the customer? So if I start from an intent perspective, how have you seen that work for you for your commerce, speech to commerce eventually?
Okay. So when I look at these three components, when I say data, so data is not like just data. It has to be a connected data. It should be usable, segmented. That kind of data is what we require. When we talk about content, content is again not like just creating a video form of content or audio form of content. It is
Yeah.
all forms of content, whether I talk about article which I'm writing on my website, or even the ad copy which I use for my search engine marketing campaigns, or whatever content I write from my search engine optimization perspective. The content has to be made which is usable to consume. It has to be as per the preference of the consumer. That is second part which we have. The third part, what you referred to about technology. Now, technology is basically a vehicle to deliver both these things. One is how can I better segment the data? To do that, you require technology. How we can better connect the data across the sources, you require technology. How can you deliver the content to consumers in a segmented manner as per their preference, as per their preferred time of consumption? You require technology. Now, when we talk about technology, is across. It's not just technology at our end and or technology at the partners end. It's across everywhere. The data is available for consumers, which is first party data, which is available with the brand. You can also through DMP, you can get second, third party data as well. But the
Correct.
more important part in this entire section is a lot of data is available with larger ecosystems like Google, like Facebook. They control a lot of data at their end, which we might not be having preview to. We might not be able to use it. So technology is the one thing through which we can go back to Google, use some of their ecosystem and data, what they have done over the years, and do the overall data centric optimization, data centric content delivery. And that gives far better customer experience. If I can give you one small example,
Yeah.
which we have tried around this particular part, which is more about data, content, and technology put together, but not just at HDFC Live's end, but we also involved Google into this entire experimentation,
Yeah.
where we used the automation, because that is the fourth link when we talk about technology. Automation is the fourth link. You can do a lot of things with your data. You can manually push a lot of content to your consumers. But when automation kicks in, a lot of things get into a different perspective. Suddenly, you can look at so many variables which are available through automation. Now, just one example, that search engine marketing, because I talked about it. Delivering the ad copy to the consumers is like such a it's not such a simple thing to do, because it has to tie up well with the kind of search he has put in, and it has to give him enough information for him to feel interested in that kind of content. So when I talk about search engine marketing, we did that experiment with Google, where we used all the data points which Google was having about the consumers. All ad copies, which is content, was given to Google. They created the responsive ads out of it. And whenever customer is searching, a ad copy was getting created real time depending upon the type of search what consumer was putting. And on top of it, it was delivered in a quite customized manner. If I already searched for something like that, the content was not delivered because I already seen that. So all these things, the entire orchestration of these three things put together with the help of automation, that solves majority of the questions, and that also gives answer for return on investment. If you can track entire thing end to end, and whatever is measured normally gets done, and whatever is measured normally helps you generate better ROI. That's how
Yeah.
we look at it.
Well, interesting. And what you're saying is that for you, ROI is increased sale and increased performance. So you're referring to using intent based. The minute there is an intent, you're actually leading it all the way to an experience. And you're actually converting the customer, hoping that your customer is actually your new voice and adding 5 more people for you, right?
Correct.
So this is an interesting example where you're connecting intent and you're adapting technology and bringing in automation. Of course, you also referred interestingly to data blind points, and I call it data blind because we look at spotlight of data, some data we look at, but
Correct.
there is just so much more data that can give us insight, even your own data, your first party data,
Correct.
your CRM data that can give insights that actually feed in not only to your SEM, but also to your organic SEO, to your earned
Correct.
media in every
Yeah.
possible way, right?
Yeah.
Because content has the ability to influence or negatively influence a
Correct.
customer, right? It
Correct.
has its innate quality of. So that brings me to Ritesh,
Yeah.
and have you, the role of CRM in actually getting insightful data is significant. Yet,
Yeah.
CRM is used in bits and pieces, parts, and adaptation of CRM as teams or as individuals, we have often seen doesn't necessarily succeed, therefore leading us to data blind spots.
Yeah.
What would you say marketers or solution providers should, can they benefit from the CRM to actually get a brilliant customer experience and benefit in the commerce part of it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very pertinent question, and I think it's being asked a lot in these COVID times these days. So, as per one of the studies, if you see, 84% of the people say that experience matters as good as the product. So, as you touched upon that point, experience has become so important these days. Now, coming to your second point, the boundaries between a sales, service, and marketing has blurred. Right? You marketers are not just told to get the leads and throw it off to the salespeople to pursue them. They are responsible for managing the entire experience, right from unknown to known to the connected journeys, right?
Hmm.
So there was a point around the content. Yes, there was a saying that content is key, but the data is God, and the technology is the platform where all these three meet, right? And Salesforce, right, is at the forefront of this. So we have divided the entire platform, keeping customer at the center of this. Now, one of the problems, there is a lot of data, no doubt about that. There is a lot of content which can be created. But the
Hmm.
question is, how can we make the life of a marketer easy? Right? So
Hmm.
marketer these days have to do two things, right? He has to be a data scientist.
Do you call it life of a marketer easy, or do you say that succeeding in investments? You basically help them make more money.
Well, yeah, I'll not easy. I'll say it is exciting,
Okay.
right? Because some marketers are under a lot of pressure. So, for example, there was a question of ROI also. So, how do they visualize, Saturn, culminate all this data to get insights, right?
Hmm.
That is where can you provide tools to these marketers that they are not dependent, right, on lot of big teams or a lot of technical processes, right, in order to just to get the insights, right? So
Hmm.
that is where the technology like Salesforce is helping all the sales, service, and marketers in order to achieve this, right? Where everything comes together, right? Data, content, and technology.
Hmm.
So, as I said, focus is customer. It's become even more. So
Hmm.
everybody, as somebody mentioned, finger fall is the important part. So one of the studies, again, just to quote one of the stats, 67% people will move to any other brand if they were given better experience. They are ready to pay more.
Hmm.
And everything, all this data, content, come together in a platform in order to do that. But as I said, the technology should be facilitating, not making the life of a marketer complex. So that's what we look at when devising our platform.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Yet I have to say, meaning I have used Salesforce, and I can vouch for the data, and I can tell you my sales team used to run away from me the day I would open the data insights. But very well put, even for marketers, though I do believe that we really need to dive deeper into the data. But you give me a great thought. What you said is that uh, functions are blurring today. A marketer and a salesperson, both of them have a common goal and objective
Yeah.
to make the customer happy at the end of the day and give them great experience. So,
Yeah.
that brings me to Renu. Renu, you're working on solutions actually, and as a solution provider, as someone who is working also in intense and crowded marketplaces, or that that rides on data. Data is gold, and they possibly demonstrate that part significantly. Do you tell me, have you had the opportunity and success in actually collaborating with a marketer, like Ritesh said, collaborating with a marketer to help them succeed. And how do you see your product experience management actually giving benefit to the customer experience management? So can you tell me how you are using this ecosystem to help provide a better solution to the marketer? Did we lose you, Renu?
Right. So, yeah. Can you hear me? Am I
Yes,
audible?
go ahead, Renu.
Am I audible now?
Yes. Well, to me, you are. To the rest of the people, hopefully, as well.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Great. So I think customers are telling brands today that, tailor our experience everywhere, every touch point where today customer looks at the brand, be it digital or offline. We talk about, how can that experience be consistent for a brand? And that's the key I think every brand is looking at today. When we talk about data and content, we talk about three things. One is effectiveness. How effective your content and communication is to brands. Especially in pandemic, we have seen that, how brands have strategically sort of given that effective communication to their customers. The ease with which the consumer is able to take that content and information. And then the third is the emotion which lies behind, that content and taking actions behind it. So, Ritesh rightly said that around, good 86% of the users actually are okay to pay extra for a great experience over price and product today. So, that is actually secondary. And hence it becomes very, very important that we talk about personalization, where what we say is that not every customer is same, and customer is looking to be treated as one customer across the platform by one brand with similar and consistent content and communication which you're trying to give to customers. So that's number one. Hence, when we have data from customers, we generally try to capture as a brand, the person's history, their preferences, the context and intent. It becomes very, very important that we then personalize that. And the world is actually moving towards hyper local personalization for customers so that they actually see what they're looking for. And it is not just important that how they experience, but it's also important that, what they experience, but it's also important how they experience that brand on different channels. So yes, we have seen, brands who use PXM, and what PXM primarily talks about is a product experience management, where starting from your product catalog, which is very, very important for commerce, till any communication which goes to, let's say, your email, website, your social channels, your SEOs, wherever you are placing your content today, through your catalog or through your ad copies, there has to be consistency, and brand don't fail on that. We've seen most of the teams actually working silos. So we really see that, when you look at this content in different platforms, the communication is so different that you'll basically lose.
Well, yeah, you're talking of...
Hence, it becomes important for brands to look at first.
Sorry. So just jumping here, I understand you're saying that customer mindset plays a significant role because you're responding in relation to your own personality and mindset, and therefore personalization. And I think everyone has spoken about it, whether it's Prasad, whether it's Ritesh, whether it's you. But let me hear from Pankaj. You have brands that work for B2B and D2C and B2C space, right? For you, you are at the end, not only intent, you're actually traversing the entire path where your appeal of a category as a consumer durable, as a fast moving consumer good is very high and extremely need-based, right? So if you can talk to me from your e-com perspective, experience perspective, and a D2C perspective, e-com, how are you seeing the integration of data and technology and content to aid for better ROI in terms of commerce? Where do you see this heading for you? And how have you actually implemented all of it at your end?
Right, Nina. In fact, just picking up from what Ritu mentioned, customer experience and product experience. I think when we started our e-commerce journey almost 3.5 years back, but the direct to consumer journey was started a year back, and we realized that our websites were absolutely not in sync with consumer or customer experience point of view. And we did our analysis in the data which we had. Basis that, we realized that we will fail miserably if we do not, change the customer experience or consumer experience in this space. So wherever we were, when we had decided to go on for, D2C and overall digital commerce, we completely changed the consumer experience. If a user was taking 6 to 7 clicks to add to cart and then proceed and then actually move forward, we completely changed it to, max 2 clicks when the user was moving to proceed section. Yeah, that was from the consumer experience point of view. So our websites or D2C websites were completely not mobile only optimized. They were mobile first. We were clear that even if we are losing on 2-3% of website traffic, we were okay with it. But we will go ahead with mobile first consumer experience. That is from the consumer experience point of view. I'll talk about an example which we learned in last 3-4 quarters. For one of our brands, historically, we were clear that majority of our core audience were on one product line was primarily male, and other product line was primarily female. Male 25 to 40 and female 25 to 34 within the master brand of that particular product. On D2C, it completely changed. So if I was actually going 100% or 90% focusing on male 25 to 40, actually the data told me that you are not doing right justice to the audience which is actually engaging in buying product on your website. More than 50% of converting audience on my D2C website were female 25 to 35, which we had never thought that would have been the case. We analyzed the data further, and over the month we realized that this is how it's going to be for digital commerce for this particular brand. That helped us in terms of changing our e-commerce or marketplace strategy, because the data which actually told us that this is the kind of audience you also need to look at. On the content side, my content was only talking to male audience. Okay, for that brand.
Well, old habits die hard.
Yeah, no. So no, actually, because that was the core audience for me. Historically, that was the core audience. But D2C and digital commerce told me that 50% of your core audience is female as well. Yeah, and they are not just liking it. That it's not just intent. Actually, they are converting. They are buying. And hence, we had to completely change our content strategy. And content is like, Prasad was mentioning, it is not only about, branded content or long form.
It is not. I agree. Content, every piece of word written against a brand is content.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Whether it is a small article or whether it is a creative, that's how the entire approach changed for us.
Yeah. So this is interesting. What I'm hearing from everyone, basically, kind of directs me to go towards a line which I think probably can summarize our discussion, and maybe then I'll take your last statements from each one of you. We are clearly moving, and do you believe we are moving towards customizing conversations or content based on consumer mindset data? Now, we are not only saying data any longer. We are saying it's consumer mindset data because it's personalized, because every person is unique and they respond differently to external factors or internal motivations. Second thing we're saying is adoption of technology is highly critical, but it is also critical to understand and get data insights, sharper data insights, to be able to act on them in a far better way. And like Prasad said, all of it is of no use unless you bring automation into the whole system, because automation will help you save time, will help you bring results faster, like his SEM example that he said with Google, or also, the specific conversation that Pankaj you spoke about, or what Renu spoke about, in terms of customer experience management, which goes personalized and specialized to deliver results. And Ritesh, I think Salesforce sits on a mine of information that can be used for brilliant outcomes and outputs both. Yeah. So if I have to just take a last line from each one of you, what do you believe is going to play a bigger role? Consumer mindset data, or just plain data to increase your commerce, irrespective of gender, just commerce? Yeah. So Prasad, let's start with you.
Yeah. So in my viewpoint, what will happen that yes, data across all formats. You mentioned about the behavior data or the type of consumer when we talk about. Their preference for the content will be definitely different, and if the preference is different, then our content has to match that particular preference. So from that perspective, how exactly it will move, it will become more personalized, and at the same time, the entire ecosystem of data, content, and technology has to move into a more experimentation mode. Because what is happening right now, even Pankaj was mentioning about it, that a target segment he never thought is his target segment is actually purchasing the product from him.
Correct.
So experimentation is far more important. We really don't know what will click right now. We just need to go ahead with it, experiment fast, fail faster if required, and then get ready for the next experimentation. It is
and be open to discovery. Be open to discovery, right?
Correct. Open to discovery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Ritesh, from you?
Yes, I think what you mentioned, I think everything is becoming very, very customer centric. We call it like everybody's expecting a Netflix or an Amazon kind of experience. But one point which I want to touch about is the use of AI and ML. See, how can you make the life of a marketer easy? There's data everywhere, right? But can you make it so easy for them to mine and then execute, right? And that's what our goal is at Salesforce, right? How can system allow marketers to do something called the real-time personalization? At times, by looking at the data and content, you don't know what that person will behave. Can you move a step ahead, do a real-time personalization? For example, if you get an email from a brand, can that content of the email change depending on, for example, what time is he opening, or what are the things he has browsed on the website or an app, right? So that's what I think technology is moving. So I want to bring that point of technology and AI and ML. So we have a silver thread called Einstein, which runs through all of our platform, which sort of does this. But yes, we are moving very quickly where the marriage of data and content we'll see blossoming a lot. Every marketer, every individual will require that platform which can do this automatically. For example, does my subject line of an email sound very good, right? Where are they scrolling on the app, on the website? Can we collect the data when they are anonymous, right? They come for the very first time. Can we collect even that data, right? Anonymized data. So, I think it's getting more and more crazy, I would say, or more exciting for marketers going forward. But some very exciting things which are coming out.
Well, crazy for sure, because we now no longer know how deep we can go. So, of course, Prasad, discovery from Ritesh's perspective, do not become data blind and remain passionate about content, but use AI and ML. That's going to give marketer the benefit. Renu, your last comment on what kind of data and that will lead to better output for the marketer.
Yeah, so I think more or less it's summed up, but I have just 3 crisp points to add. One is redefining personalization experience and not what the brand does. That's something what we should be looking at. Pieces together, experience of the customers, not just on the data front, but also at, operationally using that data. And a simple example is somebody waiting at the airport, for the airline, and suddenly the airline announces that there's a 3 hours delay, right? how can you use that if the guy is 21 years of age and, airlines offer liquor to them, then you can have a personalized, content or data going to that customer with an offer versus somebody who is less than 21 has a different offering. And third, the most important piece, which I personally feel is create a seamless one brand to one customer experience. And that has to happen through data, and that data has to be very personalized for customers.
Interesting. And thanks, Renu, which also actually talks about a topic that opens doors, saying how open are we to sharing data? Because what you're talking about is not only hyper local but micro personalization, really making it relevant for the individual. So the brand talking literally to an individual, right? So it opens saying, are we willing to share data? If data is gold, will it stay stuck in a vault? Pankaj, what is some of your last comments?
I think, guys, there are tons of data. Okay, for marketeer, I mean, the data is coming from all possible angles. Yeah, one needs to be careful as to what data and how do we use that data for better insights, better consumer understanding. Okay, so I would be as a brand owner would be very, very particular about if I am getting some specific inputs on consumer understanding or the kind of demand or needs they have. I would be very, very particular about picking that data up first, then actually getting lost in a, you know, ton of data which is lying in front of me. Okay. Just to give you an example, when we
I also have a question for you from one of the audiences. So once you give the example, I'll quickly ask you the audience question. Yeah.
So the example is when we launched Synthol D2C, okay, male grooming direct-to-consumer website, we assumed that the fast-moving products would be the products which are generally in high demand. But the data told us that there is a product which is still not there in our product line called charcoal soap. There were tons of data requests for charcoal soap, and we realized that this is one product which is not there, and we launched it. Yeah, that is the kind of data understanding I would be, and it has become the best-selling product on my website and on Amazon and Big Basket as well.
Well, charcoal is the new gold for body. And sadly, dear audience, I actually don't have time to ask the question. But what we'll do is we'll get all these questions collated and sent to the panelists, and they'll respond to everyone. For us, time is up. I know this is a large conversation. We can go on for possibly another couple of hours. But thank you, dear panelists. Thank you for making the time. And I think thank you for brilliant, insightful discussion. I think a few things that I'm taking back with me are, one is not only is it about more personalized, there is automation and instrumentation needed so that we're open to discovery. AI and ML are critical. So don't just take data for granted, but use AI and ML to get more personalized. Messages are getting more hyper local and more micro personal. And don't just bucket your target segment under male female, but actually use your data to understand which segment is going to respond faster and better. So what worked in the past may change totally in the future. With that, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you at iMedia for organizing it. Back to you, Kavya.